On the subject of stats, tonight, if the Lakers lose away at Dallas, they're out of the play-in. They would be the 11th seed in the West. The San Antonio Spurs would have the tiebreaker for the 10 seed. The Lakers would be an 11 seed.
He won the title as a Laker, so it's an unmitigated success. But he's missed the playoffs twice as a Laker?
That is correct, and he squeezed. I'm laughing. I'm sorry. He squeezed what he could out of the Lakers, and he will get out of there, and there will be a couple of non-playoff appearances, and you don't get the endings that you want, so he'll take the scoring title. The reason I'm laughing and Stugotz is laughing is because he just blurted pop. That was his analysis on San Antonio being in the play-in and the Lakers not. His analysis was just to blurt out the laziest, fart out the laziest nickname of a Spur he can name.
One might say this is the greatest coaching job he's ever done. I mean, seriously. What do you mean? He's one out.
Stugotz, look at the standings.
Playing game.
Stugotz, look at the standings.
Name a player besides Murray.
Stugotz,
I can't pronounce his first name.
I believe they're 14 games under 500.
31-44.
Imagine where they'd be without Pop.
So LeBron Simon, Los Angeles has missed playoffs, win championship in bubble, make it to play-in, get bounced in first round, miss play-in altogether.
Championship, though, ends all arguments. 4 years. If I give you, he only won 2 here. I gave you 4 years. He gave you 1 championship at the end of his career.
Yeah, but he made the championship every year. He really, it's a really bad tenure outside of that.
To a historic franchise that traded its soul to his company in exchange for, please, LeBron, play here. At the end, I remember, Stugotz, when this started in Miami, and we had shows that had to sound to some kids like Eddie Kaplan's show, where we're asking, would you take Maverick Carter as your coach?
Yep.
If it made LeBron James a player on your team. Mm-hmm. And we agreed as a show.
Yes.
That Maverick Carter would coach the Heat in 2010 in exchange for LeBron. At the end of his career, the Lakers basically did that. They just handed everything over to him. Please, Magic Johnson couldn't save us. He's Laker glory. He quit on the job. We just needed to get LeBron here to make the Lakers matter again after Kobe, because holy shit, what are we going to do? Shaq and Kobe are gone. We don't have a star. And the trade was Hollywood perfect. LeBron, give us whatever's left in the tank of fame and relevance. Our team will matter. The Clippers, we don't talk about them this season. The Clippers have never been a threat. They're threatening us now with Ballmer, with Kawhi Leonard. Please, LeBron, give us something. Mike, it's not just championships. It's not. LeBron went there and made the Lakers matter for 4 years in a way they would not have post-Kobe. And that was the trade that they made. And they got a championship in it, even though it's, pandemic.
But I think, Mike, I think when you look at it, if you said 4 years ago, what do you think LeBron's going to do? I think most people would have said a championship or 2 and certainly deep runs every single year that he's there. This has been a bit disappointing.
It has been, especially since he chose the Lakers. They got him a top 15 star in Anthony Davis. And honestly, LeBron, who's been playing excellently this season, is probably his legacy is taking a hit here because Anthony Davis just can't stay healthy. It's as much on Anthony Davis as it would be on LeBron, probably more so.
But he also wanted Russell Westbrook and completely nuked
and
the rest of that
Anthony
team.
Davis. No, but and when I say they handed over the franchise to LeBron, Anthony Davis, that choice, that's not Pelinka running the team. It's not Magic Johnson running the team. It's clutch management made the Lakers their franchise to help LeBron with what would be the end of his career. Anthony Davis was supposed to be a fountain of youth on that as a player, physically available, making threes, evolution of the sport as a 7-footer.
When he's available, he's great. I mean, he outplayed Jokic in the bubble in the Western Conference Finals. The problem is he's never healthy, and he wasn't healthy before he got there.
LeBron said that he was chasing ghosts, right? He was chasing Jordan when he won in the bubble 2 seasons ago. That actually looked like a possibility that he could actually catch up to him. He went to a third franchise to kind of change the math because, Jordan won it 6 times, but it was all in one place. So look what I've torn down, built up, torn down, built up. I have a photo next to Larry O'Brien in 3 different uniforms, and that's how he was kind of catching up to him. And he chose Los Angeles, and it turned out to, even though he won one, not to be the greatest place to take that enterprise.
But we're kind of speaking about it as if him playing this well this late in his career was inevitable. He's in his 18th season in the league, and he is still playing so well. And the idea that he has mismanaged his own career to this degree that he is dropping 38 a night and still can't make the play-in game?
Oh, but hold on. Mismanaged career. Let me just stop you guys for a second because we do lose sight of the greatness and the excellence while we're in it. Okay, so the standard is chasing ghosts. Fine. Okay. If the standard is, will you be the best player ever or the second best player ever or the third best player? Okay, fine. 4 championships isn't enough for greatest player ever, but I can't explain to you why Wilt Chamberlain didn't win. Get out of here with your standard, man. Like, what are you talking about? He won the moment he won Cleveland over Golden State. Argument ends. I don't care what happens after that. He won as an underdog in the finals against one of the best teams we've ever seen. Anything after that is gravy for him on whatever the legacy is 40 years from now. Not in the moment when we can't appreciate anything. 40 years from now, when you talk about this dude, one of the best ever, top 5 ever, changed the sport and was Kurt Flood. And was like, no, man, I don't work for everybody else under a salary cap. I'm going to fight this entire thing and see if I can get to, like, real ownership.
If you told me 18 years ago this guy was going to play 18 years and still be playing at this level, leading the league and scoring 18 years into his career, I would have told Dan 4 championships to me seems like a disappointment.
Okay, fine, but that's the standard. I think it says more about us than him. That's fine. Okay.
I agree.
If you want to go LeBron disappointment, okay. Or LeBron end of career disappointment. Okay, but I can't believe I expected it. Can it be this? I expected him to win more than one, and in retrospect, I can't believe he won even one.
Right. Greg, are you okay?
You all right there, Greg?
Been a good 15 minutes.
Getting
Just let it
choked
out,
up.
brother.
Yeah.
Just let it out.
He tries to hold them.
You try to hold it, and it hurts you more.
He does try to hold it.
Yeah,
You
just
right?
let it go.
Mm-hmm.
This is what his son gets
Like
frustrated
Anna and
about.
Elsa. Just go.
It's not frustrating. It's like a lot of emotions. It is funny though when he tries to shrink his body. If I make myself appear smaller, nobody will notice me. If I bring my shoulders in tight to my
Shrinks
chest,
into the corner, yeah.
Greg.
I apologize.
No, but you cannot try to muffle a cough for 15 minutes. That seems like a disaster for anybody.
It very well could be.
You're winded from holding your breath for 15 minutes.
Well, I got emotional listening to this conversation because I feel pretty strongly that LeBron James, to be this good at this age, he's enhancing his legacy. And 4 championships is not a small number. 1 would be too small. 1, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's had the great career, but he didn't win enough. 4 championships is a lot. It's a lot. And for him to be this good, I think he's inching closer to Michael Jordan every day without another championship.
Unfortunately, that debate is over. Chris Broussard.
Yes.
Well, that's true. Yeah. All respect to Chris Broussard.
Put it on the poll, Juju. All respect to Chris Broussard. Yes or no?
You're the kind of guy who wants to be an Orange Bowl committee member someday. Is that right?
No, I just want to win the Orange Bowl.
That's it?
I don't want to. I'm not interested in committee members.
I love that he wants you to be Keith Tribble.
That's right.
That's what you aspire to be.
That's right.
A bowl executive.
No, I got invited to it last year though. Not the game, the actual banquet.
Mike is the his generation's Ed Williamson.
Mike wants to
Thank
be
you.
Mike wants to be power. Ed Williamson was just money.
Giving away Cadillacs. You kidding me?
Caddy. Just a sponsor.
We look good in spring. TBD looks really good. 6 practices in with a whole new offense, and dude still looks like an absolute baller.
That was crazy last year because the first half with him was terrible. You're used to backup quarterbacks for the Hurricanes coming in and being shit.
Well, Dan, Chris Whittingham and I did go to fall camp, and we told you TBD looks like the best one out of the 3. And
I felt like you guys were advocating for the Cuban gunslinger.
I don't know if Garcia's Cuban. I know he's Hispanic.
I
but
assumed
no,
with Garcia.
Everyone wanted Garcia because he was more highly touted. But at the actual practice, I was all good with giving TVD a look, and I just expected TVD might struggle. And at the first sign of it, the plan was for him to split time with Jake Garcia that first game, but then Garcia hurt his ankle and was out that it was Virginia, right? The missed extra point.
I assumed their season would be over right there just because they had to go to that quarterback. And then for one half, I was just like, okay, that's how that's going to go the rest of the season. And then next thing you look up and it's just 500 yards a game. And I'm like, wait a minute. So this is who he is?
If Garcia never hurt his ankle, I don't know if we see Tyler Van Dyke for the rest of that game, because the plan was for them to split reps.
Wally Pipp.
Excellent contribution from Greg Cote. Always good when he contributes his University of Miami expertise to a conversation, because he grew up a young beat writer on the UM Canes because he knew exactly how to connect with a young Michael Irvin. And he reported on those teams and castigated those teams. And now his offering on what's going on at fall camp as a dinosaur columnist who hasn't been at the whatever they're calling Green Tree these days.
Yeah.
Green Tree.
It's still Green Tree.
Still Green Tree.
When's the last time you were at Green Tree? That your contribution to the UM conversation as the local columnist on a season of excitement as they hire the local boy made good Mario Cristobal to turn them into Nike East.
Yeah, I don't cover practices. I cover games.
Mm-hmm.
And your take is Wally Pipp.
I got it. Yeah.
Jake Garcia is Wally Pipp, and then Lou Gehrig is TVD.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think you realize how bad that sounds. I don't cover practice.
I don't.
I cover games.
You learn so much at practice, I feel.
Well, do you?
He's beyond practice. I mean,
He's underwear columns only, baby. Just go. It's shuffle into the other room in your house that hasn't changed since 1980.
If that were the case, I wouldn't go to games.
Well, practice is where you fortify relationships. When you're at games, it's too much. Too much is going on to actually socialize and network and be picking people's brains, because the game is the event. At practice is where you learn the most, I feel.
Yeah. Well, there are other ways to cultivate, texts, phone calls.
All right. Well, practice is where you make those relationships, though.
Okay.
Greg, correct me if I'm wrong. You're done at this point in your life making new relationships, right? Like, that's over. Who cares?
You're done really reporting is what it sounds like, because Mike just wandered over to the UM beat and dominated it.
Right.
And did so by working. Like, you can't just text people. You've got to go meet them and talk to them and have relationships with. I don't need to explain any of this to you.
Right.
You're a columnist. You're a different bird. You're a wise old owl, and that's understood. But I'm not judging your workflow, even though I can tell by your body language and general demeanor you think I am. I'm not. I'm not telling you.
I mean,
what to do.
believe me, I'm used to the criticism, particularly from Le Batard. I'm used to him referring to me as a lazy underwear columnist. I've learned to live with it. It's very hurtful when he says it, but it's just something I put up with.
You're a tastemaker.
Well, I don't cover UM as a beat. If I covered UM as a beat, I would have to be at Green Tree every day, and I would be.
But you're done with the beat, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you don't do any beat, not even Dolphin stuff. You do go to the Dolphins HQ occasionally.
Right. Occasionally I do, yeah.
I don't think that he should do beat or practice, but if he's a local newspaper columnist and Mario Cristobal and the University of Miami just got into the game and we basically have just a handful of sports franchises down here, I would think that however Miami looks in the formative stages of Mario Cristobal would be of interest to a local sports columnist with only 4 teams that people care about down here.
It's of great interest to me. It's of less interest to me in March than it would be when the season is near.
But many are saying they're having some of the greatest practices
in
football history.
You know what? I am so looking forward to the spring game. I mean, look, fans can get excited about March football. I sort of get excited once the season comes near, and I don't apologize for that.
Nor should you.
I want to talk more locally about a story that I don't believe has gotten enough attention nationally or on this show because we were so busy delighting in the nonsense of Jimmy Butler and Udonis Haslem looked like they were going to fight, and Eric Spoelstra threw a clipboard and he yelled at people. or he yelled at Jimmy Butler, "What do you want me to do, fight you?" Or it sounded like that, or it looked like that in the lip reading. The thing that I wanted to ask you guys about, because I don't want to normalize this, and I know this is just sports and it's the silly place, but all the stuff creeps into sports. All of it that is happening everywhere around our country. And when we talk about misinformation and propaganda, and as you watch a war in Russia, Stugotz, where there's propaganda, I want to ask you guys seriously, who has the responsibility to produce an honest broadcast that if your bench is fighting about something, it's not corporate policy to not show it to your fans because you want to scrub down what looks bad in a modern age where scrubbing it down makes it worse because everybody's got access to it and is going to see it even against your policy. So propaganda as a way to cover sports, that seems silly, does it not? On a broadcast that's meant to be sports entertainment, the idea that you have a policy of, I can't imagine this is happening in a lot of places around the country, is it? A policy of, if there's a fight on the bench, we've got it in the truck. We've got the video. Nobody show it. There's an order. The broadcast to our fans at home will not get that we were fighting on the bench. What is that? Like, are you guys good with that?
No. It's the worst thing possible is to ignore it, to ignore what everybody sees and everybody is talking about it. From the corporate level, the way to do it is to show it visually and then spin it by saying, that's how much the Heat want to win. This is how passionate they are.
How much they care.
This is Heat culture in a way coming up because the sides are combat. They're doing lousy. They're in a real lull. Yeah, this is what you're seeing happened, but it's how much they want to win. But to ignore it just puts a spotlight on it.
I'm not exactly sure how many teams have the arrangement that the Miami Heat have, in which the actual production team that puts stuff out on Bally's are actually Heat employees. I'm not exactly sure how often that is the case, but if that is the case with the Miami Heat, then the organization makes the call on what is shown on television, and I'm not even sure there was a code red being ordered because they have absolute lifers in that production truck that probably already know, fortified. We're not showing that because that's just how we operate here.
Culturally, Stugotz, thoughts? Like, I just think we skipped past this one in enjoying just, hey, there's a fight on the court. But what do you want as a sports fan, and what are you entitled to as a sports fan when it relates to honesty on your broadcast? Because both of you are arguing on behalf of what isn't my preference either way, because Cody's way isn't a whole lot better than yours. Some policy from on top. Hey, this is how we spin everything positively. That's bullshit too.
But it's better than nothing.
It is.
You show it, the viewer's going to make up his or her own mind. You can spin it however you want. They're going to look at what they see.
But why is the standard better than nothing? My point is, if you're an entertainment broadcast, not treating that as some sacred business, and instead it's all entertainment, honestly, what are you doing? I want to understand as a corporate policy what you're doing that you think 2022, in a time of social media access, in a time where you want your players to be more popular, more connected, in a time where reality television shows you more real, you have more access. What are you blocking there? Why?
A bad moment? Like they're hiding a bad moment. We all saw it. Who cares if they show it again? Like I could see it as many times as I want. We all saw it. That's what they're doing. They have the ability. Mike is right about this. They control their broadcast. So when I was running 790 and the Heat came over to our radio station, I thought I was going to have to hire broadcasters, production people. They were like, nope. We got it all, and it was their broadcast, really. It just happened to air on our station.
What if you and Stugotz in Austin, in front of that big crowd on the side of the stage, started getting into an argument? Are you saying we should go on Instagram Live and start posting it?
I think that just about everything around here is content, and we show an awful lot of our ass all the time, sinking into mistakes that no other show would make because there's a general competence and planning around some of this stuff. And I don't want the one that cancels me, but I also don't want someone else deciding for us where the line is, and I don't believe the Heat should have that right. I don't believe any sports broadcast should have the right to keep me from honest moments on the field of performance. This isn't captured secret video. This is like everyone's seeing this. This isn't some private recording off to the side. Everyone is going to the spectacle to witness what's happening at center court, and you denied me something that was just off frame because you made a corporate decision to try and protect your interests while someone behind the bench showed me, oh shit, that was an honest moment.
Yeah, I just think that they're so programmed that there's not really a decision. It's just muscle memory. We're not showing that, but I think the obvious pivot is someone in that truck needs to be alerted that Warriors broadcast caught it. There's all sorts of video on social media. Now we should at least revisit it, because the longer we go without showing it, the more it appears like we're just a propaganda arm.
And beyond that, 30 minutes afterward, as everyone cooled down, and it's just a silly sports moment, Stugotz. Goran Dragic said, yeah, that's how they do business down there. Conflict was part of the fuel. I'm going to fight you is where Pat Riley likes things. And some of that is going to spill over. But what I'm presenting to you and what Cody is doing with spin is just like, well, if you're so proud of your culture, and it's ugly sometimes, and the sports fan gets to see that it's not always just all these guys marching in lockstep toward glory, that every once in a while they're going to fight because these people are menaces who have sculpted their entire craft to get here, and they play emotionally, and they're hugely competitive.
It's the exact way I would spin it. I'd put everything under that culture umbrella. I would.
But I'm saying that the broadcast you got wasn't just propaganda spin. It was basically stamp it all out. 30 minutes afterward, Spoelstra hasn't talked, super unusual. And then when he comes out and he's asked about it, we were making dinner plans. Because their culture on the inside of it, we talk so much about the outside of it. You wouldn't like it so much if you saw some of the shit that happens there. And Ray Allen is telling you, yeah, no one in here is around their feelings. We don't get in our feelings. Like, it's just not a thing. We're competitive robots, and if guys are fighting, they're fighting. If we saw these things in practice, if we saw the rabid arguments between a dude who had a bad day at work and didn't want an elbow that day, I think you'd find it like unpleasant what people need to do to get that kind of tough. As we say, Jimmy Butler's soft. He won't fight Udonis Haslem.
Yeah. Well, he won't. I mean, if he's smart.
But you understand what I'm saying. Jimmy Butler has gotten to where he's gotten, not because anyone can ever describe any part of him as soft. But that's where Riley likes it. Riley likes it where the fire is between Jimmy Butler and Udonis Haslem and whatever the hell that is that got them to where they got.
Riley had to love that moment. You're right. In terms of them kind of scrubbing it out, it's just something that they don't want you to see. Like, I understand what you're saying. We deserve to see it. What's the big deal? It's sports. It's a couple of people getting after each other in a highly competitive arena. But if they don't want you to see it, you're not going to see it.
But what I'm telling you...
Why are you objecting so much? Because you could see it whenever you want.
No, but they didn't think it was going to get out, and in a previous time, it would not have gotten out. If... They would prefer you not see it. But do you realize that what I'm telling you is this is very much the Heat? You can't handle the truth. He's proud of the principles that make that happen and prefer you not be televising them because you're not going to understand what it took to get here. Like, you don't understand. He's 77 years old and super competitive. It was Magic and Kareem and like... He's a crazy person. And you wouldn't understand if you saw what made it. It'd be too much for you. You'd be like, oh my God, Udonis and Jimmy are fighting. And the coach is saying, what, you want to fucking fight me too? And throwing a clipboard at him. Yes. And Chris, you're so right. And I imagine through an old evil cat made of wires grin, Pat Riley at the end of his basketball life and at the end of his life is like, yeah.
Oh, he loved that.
Yeah, Eric.
Loved it.
Felt alive.
Spoelstra
Loved it.
He went home after that, and he was in a mood.
So why lie about it?
I don't understand. I don't think people would understand the truth, Billy. I don't think, when you say why lie about it, because I don't think you'd like the truth, that you got to kind of be Jimmy Butler an asshole sometimes in a way that's unpleasant at human resources. I don't get it. That's not, I don't want, look, man, people are still making fun of us about how we talked about Will Smith and Chris Rock, that they say we were pearl clutching around here. I thought we were just having fun with it, but that does seem as close as Judd Apatow has ever gotten to Compton. Seeing Will Smith slap Chris Rock at an award ceremony.
Such a great reaction.
But in sports, we don't understand. I tell you this all the time. We don't actually understand. Like Tim Duncan misses a bunny. We don't know how Tim Duncan got that good at that.
Right.
But it's a lot of lonely shit and gyms in San Antonio obsessed
Should have practiced more bunnies.
I totally get why team broadcasts are sanitized. I get why team websites are sanitized. They're propaganda machines, and we understand that. You get the truth elsewhere. You get the truth.
Though? I don't.
I
do
think
we?
so.
Like,
Look,
I don't feel like sports fans are expecting their franchises to massage and manipulate them.
Look, what I mean is, if you're listening to a Miami Dolphins broadcast last season, you're not hearing the announcers get into the idea that, hey, Tua just is not the answer. They should be going after Deshaun Watson. Why is everybody criticizing that?
You guys expect to be lied to by your franchise like that?
Oh, I think, like, to Greg's point, like on the radio broadcast, like, again, it's your governor. Like, I've done several team broadcasts, and I have a governor of, without anyone telling me, I can only go so far. Now, I would say I probably erred more on the side of being honest, which might have hurt me, but I kind of felt a responsibility to the audience. But, like, I think the team's radio broadcast and the television broadcast that appears on Bally's Sports Sun is a completely different thing. It doesn't have the Heat logo in the bottom right corner. It has the Bally Sports logo. That is a broadcast that a media entity is putting on. I do think that regional sports broadcast has a greater responsibility, but like Mike said, what we don't realize is team employees are in charge of it. Both from a production standpoint and the people on the air are all team employees, and they know where their checks come from.
But we have been, you guys say that so matter-of-factly, and Greg Cote says so matter-of-factly, the team is manipulating you. It isn't going to be honest with its criticism, even though in the Heat radio broadcasts, every 9-point deficit, Mike Inglis, I thought there was a boulder falling on the building. Like, he was super critical of the team.
I so deeply admired what he did, because that's ballsy to just like be ripping on the guy's effort on the air. On, like, if their family or whatever was listening to that, they would call the Heat, and the Heat would be like, no, we back Mike Inglis.
But I expect that from my broadcast. I hope for that from my broadcast. And the thing that I'm asking you guys, raised on Heat Sports, where Eric Reed has literally been the only televised voice in the history of the franchise. There's been no other. That's what the Heat do, and their employees tend to be longtime employees. I don't think your experience with the broadcast is America's experience with the broadcast. I believe there's a great deal of homerism, and you know where there is homerism, but I don't believe there are any other franchises in America that would have scrubbed that thing on the sidelines. Am I wrong?
Because yes. I think you are. I think you are.
I don't.
I think you're wrong.
Every company in the country would probably do the same thing to cover up something that happened between employees like that.
No, I mean, I don't know what the dynamic is in other broadcasts, but I would have to assume that in other places, the broadcasters and the producers are not team employees. I don't know. I can look into this, but I don't think that it's the case. But I know that anywhere where team employee, like people who are, their checks come from the team, you're getting a certain product. And I agree with, you're right, exactly. Yes. I agree with Greg. Like, that's why, in theory, every team's website should be incredibly well read and well sourced and should have a bunch of information. Does anyone in here that are sports fans go to MiamiDolphins.com for Miami Dolphins news? No. Do you go to ClevelandBrowns.com for, well, when you were a Browns fan? Like, no one ever goes to the team website because we all know that you're getting spun.
I think the problem for Dan is Pat Riley would use this as a highlight video, seriously, for the year. Like, he'd be proud of it, and yet the Heat are kind of running away from it. You know?
And I think there's a subtle difference between omission of truth and a lie. And by that, I mean, I get why the Dolphins are telling their broadcast team, I don't want the word Deshaun Watson to be heard during our broadcast, ever. I get why the Heat might not want their broadcast team to say, wow, this is over the top. We have never seen Eric Spoelstra throw a clipboard and just inflame everything. It's propaganda, and I think fans understand that. You're listening to a team broadcast. You're listening to homers and cheerleaders. You're not going there for hard truth.
But which do
and
you
opinion.
prefer?
I love a homer.
Okay,
I
but
do.
all right, Stugotz, and that's fine. And I think a lot of people listening also
Jim Mandich. Oh, homer.
also love a homer. But if I asked you had to choose between the two, and these are all degrees, grades, but if I ask you, you have to choose. You get a homer, but every time one of those fights break out, you're going to get scrubbed.
Right.
Every time. You have to make the trade and you have to choose between the two because I believe these organizations do in some ways by degrees, right? On what they allow as corporate policy. But if you had to choose, which do you want? You want to be spun by the homer or do you want the truth? Which do you prefer?
Homer.
But you can have both.
Not a fan of the truth.
You can get the sanitized version from the team, and then you can hear Stephen A. Smith rant about it for the next 24 hours.
I know, but which
Right.
one do you watch? When you watch, sometimes they're on both. The local broadcast and the ESPN broadcast. Certainly. Which one were you guys watching when it was LeBron, Wade, and Bosch? Did you want the truth or did you want Homer? When it was those guys and they were on television all the time against each other, which was the broadcast you guys preferred?
I wanted Eric Reed just for me. I don't know what
No, national every time.
Really?
It felt bigger.
Really?
Yeah.
The local broadcast, and I wish to be a team local broadcaster someday. So hopefully no one does this to me. But when given the choice, like being with the local guys every night just feels like Game 58 in Charlotte. Whereas like when it comes to the Thursday night TNT game or a playoff game on a network, there's just something that feels different about it.
I've covered the Miami Heat for 26 years. I've covered 418 different players. I've been offended several times. I've never been offended like this by hearing people say that they don't listen to the local broadcast.
You sound like Norman Bates' mother.
I'm Eric Reed. Kaboom!
That's never
had to announce it,
that's
right,
never
yes.
a good impersonation when you have to tell people who you were.
I'm Eric Reed.
I don't
Kaboom!
think anything has suffered more during the pandemic than your voice and by extension that Eric Reed impersonation because you sounded it had a little Mickey Mouse in it too.
No, that's the problem. You heard that in the local hour or whatever the hell it was when we were listening to those songs. The difference between
Whatever the hell it was.
the difference between me singing "Let It Go" and the Ballad of 1440, stark difference in the deterioration of my voice.
By the way, watching the local broadcast and then watching the national broadcast is what's fun. Because, like, the local, you're going to get, like, the Homer version. Everything's perfect here, even if your team's 30 games under 500. Look at how great Alfredo Amezaga is, right?
Yeah.
And then you go and you watch, like, the national broadcast. You're like, holy crap, like, we're not that good at this. Or, like, these people are a bunch of haters that just hate the Heat, and America hates the Heat, and they're jealous of us.
Oh, remember how much an entire region hated Hubie Brown?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that was great.
Why would he say we when it was the Bulls?
But I loved Hubie because he was just honest all the time, and local people found him so critical as a broadcaster.
He said we about us as well.
Nah, it was
He
mostly
did.
the other people.
You only heard it when he talked about the other team.
No, Hubie Brown does the broadcast in second person, where it's like, and when you're the Bulls and you've got a chance to feed it down into the post with Joakim Noah, you gotta get it down to the big man. Great crafty moves. When you're Joakim Noah and you're going against Shaquille O'Neal.
Legend. Man.
It's funny what you guys are doing with this though, because I can't tell which broadcast you want. I can't tell whether you guys want your Heat broadcast to lie to you about something that if somehow you lived in a different social media time, that you would be watching your game and somehow you would never learn of that fight because it was something that was scrubbed from the broadcast.
That's Greg's job. Yeah, Greg goes and he tells us what happened.
Exactly right.
By
Just
not,
a game.
by not
Tell
going
us
to
the
practice.
truth.
No,
Just a game.
Had I been at that game, obviously that's what I would have written about, and I might have wondered aloud whether or not Jimmy Butler's going to be suspended by the team for what happened there. I would listen to a national broadcast to get that kind of perspective on it. I understand that if I'm listening to the Heat broadcast,
Man,
I'm not going to get anything.
You're
elsewhere.
accepting dishonesty, though. You
I'm
really
accepting-
are.
I'm
What's wrong with
accepting a sanitized version.
Well, it's the reality of the situation. There's one broadcast. You don't have access to the Pacers broadcast. It's this one broadcast, and we kind of know how the sausage is made, but it does ask a question about other rights holders. This would be like if the Oscars, because ABC pays them money, cut to black before Will Smith slapped Chris Rock in the face. That's basically what we're saying, is that rights holders have the right to basically say, you can't show the most dramatic moments of our thing because it doesn't look good for us.
The Academy is doing a formal investigation, because what other kind of investigation would they do?
What is there to investigate?
They are appalled. They are appalled. Will Smith has apologized profusely as he transitions into steroid action star in his 50s, because those are the only kinds we have. And now he is a bad man who slapped Chris Rock in public and has Chris Rock's sales skyrocket on his tour that it now goes to Boston very soon so that he can feud publicly, and somebody will confiscate those cameras, Chris, if you want that footage for yourself. Go Chappelle's route. Confiscate it so that it could just be yours for your audience. As this happens in front of us, and the Academy is appalled. Judd Apatow said someone could have been killed.
Yes, killed by a
And
slap.
everyone is clutching their trophies to their chest, scared about the menace unleashed. Do you want it, or just on Australian and Japanese television, which is how we ended up getting it? Because people watching were like, what's wrong with my broadcast? It would have been scrubbed. You would have been slapping the side of your television, old style. Like, what happened to it? Where is it? If not for Australian and Japanese television telling us, holy shit, he slapped the shit out of him.
We got the slap. We got the sound of the slap. And then there was no sound. And the camera did cut to an angry Will Smith mouthing something that was pretty clear to tell what was going on. But thank God for Australia and Japan, because that made the experience.
But they were saying the F word. You can't air that on ABC. So
But that's why it was so
they cut the
ridiculous,
sound.
people saying it was a bit. Because if it was a bit, they would have not bleeped it.
No, you don't know how this
No.
is Big Pharma?
Yeah.
You haven't seen the internet theory? This is all Big Pharma?
Oh, no.
Yeah. Yeah, Pfizer was like a presenter on the award show. And they
No,
have
it's Big Hollywood. That's what it is.
They have an
Big Hollywood.
alopecia drug. You haven't seen these? Oh, open up your third eye, guys.
There's a conspiracy around this one thing.
Always.
Yeah.
Mike Ryan's got a hot take about this.
But I'm gonna need the reckless speculation. For
Okay, hold on a
All
second.
right.
I have not heard
Very exciting.
this take, but I did check with a source, and this take was not as ridiculous in Hollywood as it sounded when Mike Ryan tried to get this take off the ground yesterday.
How'd you hear it?
Time to throw away all journalistic credibility and get reckless. Here is something we like to call reckless speculation.
You're good.
Totally reckless. Please don't sue me. I'm just doing content here. That was roid rage from Will Smith. Wow. This is how actors age in Hollywood. This is how they defy the aging process. This is how Will Smith, in a very public midlife crisis, has turned his physique around, and that's why he has a short fuse. Roid rage.
I mean, he was in Ali, though. You know.
And he's there to win an Oscar.
And that was
Yeah.
about 20 years ago.
I'm sure he's probably kept it up.
He's there to win an Oscar.
No, he very publicly lost it. He very publicly lost it and took us on a public journey via social media about his workout regimen and hair dye and the whole shebang bang.
And I.
I mean that's obvious. I mean, hair was jet black yesterday when he's been gray on social media for several years. You don't think that just regenerates on its own? Like, I got it back. Come on, boys.
I'm surprised that you didn't
Third eye.
reveal to us earlier that Will Smith was in your hair dye club, because you're obsessed with this.
Well, that one's
fake
obvious.
hair dye.
Well, Chris Rock too.
Both of them are in their 50s. This is one of the
Yeah,
many.
but this isn't a secret. Both of them have publicly been
No.
grayer before.
Yeah.
No.
Chris
And
looked great.
it's a fact.
He
No.
does. Look, when I grow my beard out, I put a little touch of gray in it. You got it? The beard makes it look older. I'm not out here trying to look like Lovey Smith.
You dye
It's an
your
award
beard?
show. Occasionally when I grow it out.
Yeah, we
when I
all
have
do.
like the really long beard, because nothing will make you.
Well, hairs don't start gray halfway through. They're
No,
either
but
gray or not.
they're far more noticeable when it's a longer beard. That's why Brian Wilson did that thing like 15 years ago.
Listen, Wild Bill Cody, God
That's
rest
right.
his soul, he would. We laughed out loud, my brother and I, Uncle Dick. My dad would have gray hair. I mean, steel gray, and then the next day, it would be jet black, like shiny.
That was my dad.
A
jet
miracle.
black hair.
My mom would get so mad at my
No
dad because
subtlety.
he would go from one day to the next dyeing his eyebrows and his mustache in a way that was totally ridiculous.
I am ready to announce my hair dye champion.
Okay, you can do this, but
there is a top of the there is a king of the mountain, and no one's going to catch
okay,
this person.
Mike, we will end the segment this way.
I think I know.
Well, we'll end the segment with that, but I do believe we've skipped right past your reckless speculation of your alleging roid rage
Yeah.
of Will Smith.
That was just within the reckless speculation.
I know,
segment.
but you, again, we skipped past when it happened. Sylvester Stallone in Australia just launching HGH from a hotel room balcony, trying not to be caught by the authorities.
Let me ask you a question. When we say all these stars, they age so beautifully. Halle Berry, how does she do it? Jared Leto, oh my God, he's a vampire. Pharrell, how do they do it? Will Smith, wow, you had a physical transformation. How do you do it? Do they just have good genes or good docs?
I mean, Halle Berry, though. Come on.
Yeah, don't come after the queen.
How about Clooney?
I mean, Clooney's kind of been in hiding.
Well,
and he's always embraced the salt and pepper.
The leading man is changing in Hollywood. It's not what it used to be. I don't know whether it's Bradley Cooper or Ryan Reynolds or Michael B. Jordan, but the leading man is a Hollywood construct.
It's The Rock, Dan.
Well,
I mean, they have so much tied into their bodies. It's an investment. They have to look spectacular. If it means hair dye or hair plugs or HGH or steroids, you got to do whatever you can to be this avatar that people aspire to.
you have to be when in the middle
unless
of
you're
that.
Paul Giamatti.
It doesn't matter.
People are always going to need character actors, but
He's lost a
Buscemi.
lot of weight. Giamatti. I don't know whether he's doing steroids or HGH too, or John Goodman. These guys have lost a good amount of weight. They're
They
trying.
are
they're-
ripped.
they're-
but people always ask, what's your secret to all these people?
cheating.
They cheat.
Let's do this shocking revelation here of what you're saying. You're ready to crown.
Yeah.
We've got to update our tournament here and give the people our Final Four and everything that's been knocked out of our tournament. But you're willing to right now make a Chris Broussard type of announcement that you have your reigning new number one revealed to the audience, someone who clearly cheats at hair.
Yeah, this is the most obvious one if you know this person. By name recognition, you may not, though. But this is the most overpowering, overwhelming dye job I have seen in all of content.
Holy shit.
Yeah. Jesse Waters from Fox News.
Wow.
I had to check my TV settings. I had to change my picture from vivid to standard when this guy came on the screen.
You're saying more than the time that Cowherd went orange hair where
Oh, no,
it
that
was
was
jarring.
That was
Jarring.
incredible.
Yeah.
But that was just a moment in time. That was a candle blowing out. Jesse Waters has had the nerve to go on television for 20 years, and whilst being the worst or second worst on that network, just full on, just an oil canvas all over that dome. It is so bad. It is so obvious.
a new number one. Let's celebrate, people. This is a big announcement.
Who was the old number one?
Yeah, the worst.
Dom Capers.
Dom Capers, of course.
Dethroned.